Start recording. Here we go. I think we're recording now. Okay, so great. We're here to talk about getting off the wait list. I've given it the cheeky title "Stuck in the Middle with You." You'll see why in a moment, although I'm sure many of you are familiar with the slide. I'm Jeremy Shinewald. I'm the founder and president of MBA Mission. I've been at this now for full-time 12 seasons. It's kind of crazy. I'm a bit of a graybeard of the industry at this point, although I'm not even 40 yet. So I still hope that I've got my youthful vigor in me. We've seen many candidates get into all manners of schools all around the world, and of course there is the glorious acceptance, the agony of defeat, and then there's this middle, which is the wait list, and it can be even more painful at times than just finding out right away. And my sympathy goes out to all of you. I empathize with all of you, and hopefully I can help to give you a bit of a strategy for getting off the wait list. But a lot of it, as you will find out, is unfortunately a little bit out of your control. So let's get started. We're going to talk about what does the wait list even mean? And we'll talk about the nuances of waitlist management, and then we'll talk about what next. Talk about a tiny bit about our firm as well. Okay. So let me see here. I mean, why don't you guys type in? I want to get you all active and involved here. I mean, what does the wait list even mean? Just, blue sky here. What do you think it means to be on the wait list? I'll give you a second to type in. Yep, I just lost my, no, there we are. Okay, hold on. Maybe I'm not seeing your responses well here. Where do I go for your responses? Can you guys see the chat window? 13, here we go. Oh, here we go. Okay, here, now I got it. You're good, they have some reservations. Okay, you're good, they have some reservations. Didn't quite make now I can see your responses. Didn't quite make the cut of the pool of qualified applicants. Qualified but not a clear admit. Want to see who they get in round 2. Considered and yet not considered. We've already admitted someone with your profile. The school thinks will fit, but are looking for some more competitive students. Wow, these are all actually pretty good answers. We're not selected yet, but my applications are under consideration. Qualified applicant, but either your application has one flaw or else there are just too many other candidates and they want to see who else got in the next round. Your application lacks something a bit. Okay, good. These are actually surprisingly, these are very, very educated answers. I think a lot of people have a tendency to think incorrectly that that the wait list is just sort of like some, I don't know, maybe a gimmick. Like they just want to, the schools are just trying to, I don't know, they get some sort of glee out of toying with your emotions or something like that. And that's really not the case. So, here's the stuck in the middle with you. You got, trying to make sense of it all, but I can see that it makes no sense at all. Is it cool to sleep on the floor? Because I don't think that I can take it anymore. You talk about the pain here of being on the wait list. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. I guess that's you guys looking at each other. I'm sure you guys are like, I'm the real deal. These are the clowns. Here I am stuck in the middle with you. Or the other way of looking at it, I'm not calling you clowns, it's sort of a little cheeky, is this great quote from George Bernard Shaw, which is, the frontier between hell and heaven is only the difference between two ways of looking at things. And I think there's a tendency among people who are on the wait list to think that they are not measuring up, that there's something wrong, that everything's terrible, and that there's no chance that they're going to get in, which really is not the truth. We see applicants get in off of wait lists. They don't have the wait list as a prank. They have it because, as a few of you noticed, you're probably a very good applicant, and they don't want to lose the option on you. So this is a common question, does the wait list mean that I'm not good enough? If you weren't a good enough applicant, they would just reject you. They would say, forget it. We don't need you in this pool right now. You're not our kind of applicant. And even then, even some people get rejected. It's not like a horrible person or a horrible MBA applicant. It just means that there's no spot for you in the class this year. Some people are terrible applicants, but for a lot of people, there's kind of a cushy middle where a lot of schools, there's a cushy middle where someone could be admitted or not admitted, and it just kind of, there might be a better applicant out there, the way it goes, the way someone reads your file that day. These are busy people. They've got a lot of applicants. They don't have time to play games. Like they're trying to shape their class. They're not trying to, they're not trying to string people along, strangers who they don't know, trying to string you along for no reason. They're really just trying to, gain a sense of what the class is going to look like, who you are relative to others, etc. They do have the option of keeping they do have the luxury of keeping their options open. That's just who they are, and they've got a lot of applicants and not a lot of spots, and by and large they can wait. But the point of the wait list is that you are admissible. That's something that's really, really important, and that's something a lot of people lose track of. Just out of curiosity, I don't know if your names are up here, you might not feel comfortable writing where you're on the wait list, but where do we have some people on the wait list? Does anyone feel like they can share that? Sloan, Kellogg, Rice, Cornell, McCombs, Haas, Keenan Flagler. Okay, good. Kellogg, McDonough, Fuqua, Yale. Okay. Great. Kellogg, etc. Okay, Carlson. So there's a real diversity here. Let's look at some of the schools' approaches to the wait list here. Tuck. Since Tuck puts very few people on the wait list, you should view this as a positive. Berkeley. We find your strengths and accomplishments stand out. Stanford. The wait pool is a group of hand-selected applicants who are very strong candidates. Chicago, the admissions committee feels that you'll fit with our unique, inquisitive, and supportive community. What they're saying is, we like you. We want to admit you. We just need some time to look at others to see how you stack up. Simple as that. It is not a repudiation of your candidacy. If they wanted to repudiate you, they would just reject you. Okay? Just want to make sure that's really, really clear. Let's move to the next slide here. So seriously, I've got no chance of getting in. No, you can see here that from some of the numbers they give, and most schools will not give you numbers. Whoops, did I miss a slide here? No, I didn't. Okay, good. We selected approximately 80 candidates from the wait pool. In the past 5 years, we've had wait pools ranging from 75 to more than 200 people. Some years we're able to admit a high percentage of those placed in the wait pool. Some years that percentage is zero, right? What they're telling you is they can't give you actual numbers, but they're kind of giving you a little bit of some numbers to let you know that, hey, this is like a real thing. This is not a game. We want to let you know, give you some parameters. Harvard Business School, the number of admissions officers extended varies. Historically, 50, 60 candidates have been admitted off the wait list in a year. That's not just are on the wait list, that's admitted. And so they're not just toying with you. They're going to admit people off the wait list. You don't have to worry okay, I'm on the wait list. It means there's really no chance. They wouldn't do it if they cut you loose if they really felt like they had no chance. They don't know you. They're not interested in torturing you. Other schools will not give you any sense at all. Most schools won't give you any sense at all. We do anticipate admitting candidates off the wait list from Kellogg. A few people on this chat are here from the Kellogg wait list. The applicant pool varies each year, and therefore we cannot predict exactly how many applicants will be offered admissions, your specific chances of being offered a seat in the class, etc. Yada yada yada. Please be advised that we've made a conscious decision to limit the number of applicants extended placed on the wait list. The spelling error there, the capitalization error there is Dukes. It should be admissions committee with a lower A and a lower C. Stern, the number of applicants varies through admission cycles. There's no predetermined number of waitlist applicants. So there could be more joining you at round 3. There may be there may be more than past years, less. It doesn't really matter at this point. You're there, and it's very, very opaque. They're not going to tell you much, and that really is is seen in the issue of rank. And a lot of people want to know, where am I ranked? And there's no school that I know of that says, we're ranked, you're ranked. You're number 6, you're number 3. And the reason is, and the italics is here, the italics is ours here. If space becomes available in the incoming class, the admissions committee will review the applications of waitlisted students, the context, the overall composition of the class. This is generally what we're told from admissions committees. Generally speaking, they're trying to use the waitlist to fill out the composition of the class, so that if you are, if they have at Kellogg, they've got a Bolivian applicant who chooses to take his name out of the class for no other reason than he got a great promotion in his office, maybe that means they'll look for another South American applicant because they want to have a certain representation of the class. Maybe they want another Bolivian applicant. Maybe they want another Chilean applicant or whatever it is, or maybe they don't. Maybe they're just going to look and say, okay, you know what, we've got some really awesome people here, and it has nothing to do with wanting a Bolivian or Paraguayan or Uruguayan applicant here. It really just has to do with, there's someone who's really awesome who came up in the 3rd round, and we're going to accept that person instead of Jeremy for whatever reason. So it's really, really hard to know, and you can beat yourself up trying to guess how they're going to make their decision, or where your inadequacies lie. But remember, you're admissible, so you may not have huge inadequacies. You might be able to point to something in your profile. You just might be a really good candidate, and they're just choosing to wait and see. Oops. Okay. Let me just sort of try to look at some of the comments as we go, but there weren't any actually, so that was my mistake. Okay. So the issue of rank. So let's just give you a sense of, I think, a little bit of perspective on the waitlist. So let's talk about waitlist management here. And here we go with a little button here. I'm not that used to go to webinar here. So first of all, waitlist management 101. Silence is not golden. Shouting is not rewarded. Okay? So there's a sense, I think people feel like there's got to be a campaign to get in. This is now it's a contest. There's me and a bunch of opaque competitors, the clowns to the left of me and the jokers to my right, and I've got to show that I want this more than someone else. So I am going to just beat down their door, and I'm going to show that I am the most serious person out there, and I am going to just get on a campaign here. I'm going to start calling and emailing, and I'm going to get other people to call on my behalf, and alumni and current students, and I'm going to tell them, and eventually, it can just be overwhelming. So you have to find that spot, and we'll talk about different kinds of wait lists. You have to find that spot in between. Silence is not something we ever recommend. And shouting is definitely not something we'd prefer. Silence to shouting. A constant campaign and badgering is really going to do nothing but identify yourself negatively. Also, don't take a one-size-fits-all approach. Harvard's waitlist is different than Kellogg's, which is different than London Business School's. Some schools will be open to letters. Some will just be open to crucial updates like a GMAT score changing or promotion. Others will even ask you for a video, as we'll soon learn. So you got to really watch what you're doing. Don't just assume because something works with one school, it's going to work with others. Be thoughtful in your correspondence. This kind of relates to, don't be shouting. Just be calm. Project that confidence. You don't want to project this insecurity. I actually, I don't know. I sort of think of it almost like dating. If you're on a date with someone and you really like them, you're not going to be like, hey, would you consider going with me again? Right off the bat, right? Okay, I want some time. I want to think about this. I need some time to assess, whether it works between the two of us. And that's kind of maybe what a waitlist is like. It's maybe like giving you a second date. I don't know, not a perfect analogy, but you're not going to You're not going to call someone the day after a great date where they say, "Oh, this was fun. Maybe we should do this again, and say, "Hey, do you want to go out with me? Hey, this would be great. Would it be okay if I called you? Here's my resume. Take a look. Here's a better picture of me. Whatever it is, you're gonna give that person the opportunity to like sit back and make some choices. So panicking, begging, calling is not really the way to go. I think about that famous scene in Swingers, which I'm sure you can find on YouTube, where Mikey is constantly calling after the first date. That's really what some people do with waitlist management, and it's not a good strategy. There might not be a problem with your candidacy. It's possible. There might not be a problem, but there may be. You may actually know yourself and say, okay, okay, I know, like my test scores were a little bit low. Okay, you might want to think about taking the GMAT again. Or I know my quant abilities haven't shined through. Maybe you want to take a class. I know my recommendations only really represented my professional life, and that was by intent because I've had a strong professional life. But maybe now I had a really good run with a nonprofit. Maybe now is the time to send in another recommendation that highlights a different side of my personality. Maybe in hindsight, my goals weren't clear enough, or I didn't really do the research necessary on the school or show that kind of intent. Now that I have had some time to think about it, I kind of was a little generic with Yale, and I want to tell them that I really went out and learned an awful lot about their program, and that I'm really serious about it. And maybe that didn't quite come through. Whatever there is, you can be honest with yourself. I think the key is, as you're developing your own strategy, make sure that your communications are additive. You're not just saying, here I am. You're saying, hey, here's some crucial information that you must know about me. Now, it doesn't need to be crucial, like earth-shattering. It depends on the school. Like I said, don't take a one-size-fits-all approach. This is important. We'll talk about this in a letter that we prepared for you here for this presentation. So it doesn't have to be earth-shattering, but it needs to be, it needs to be additive in some way. They need to learn something about you. So I would say, this is the first time we've done this presentation for you, I'm going to put a big red writing diagonally here for next time. They have to learn something about you. That's really, really important. Okay, so that's the big rule of communication. They're learning something about me. I'm not just being in touch saying, here I am, learning. Okay. So here's an open wait list. Send us critical information only. Michigan Ross, waitlisted applicants may provide one update per decision round, letting us know of significant changes since your application was submitted. I would take that seriously. I wouldn't send them two if they're saying one. This update should be submitted online, aside from a new GMAT, GRE, or TOEFL score, which may be submitted at any time while you're on a wait list. This will be your only opportunity to submit an update, okay? So you can write them a small letter every round. So if it's the second round, great. After the third round, you can send them another. That's it, okay? I would take that seriously. I wouldn't send them 4 updates. For many applicants, we require no specific information, but general updates may be provided. Again, you've got to add value. Suitable information for an update includes job changes or promotions, new extracurricular involvement. They want to learn about you, updated test scores, changes in your personal situation. New information should be submitted only when it provides a different or updated perspective for the admissions committee. Okay, that's straight from the admissions committee. There's the very unique case of Chicago Booth, which offers you an opportunity to send them a 300-word essay or a 45-second waitlist video that addresses one of the following questions. So that's kind of an interesting take on the waitlist correspondence, a video. You don't have to feel compelled to do the video. It might be an opportunity to give you, a little bit of a personality or character. Think carefully about about how you're going to do that and how well you present on film. It's not an acting contest, but you have to be someone who presents well. Again, like they're saying to you here, we want to make sure that it's additive to your original application. So really think carefully, do a thorough audit, and then make the same mistake with capitalizing an admissions committee as other schools do. Okay. Here's wide open. Some schools, you're welcome to email additional materials, letters of interest, additional essay and they give you the email at Yale. Common areas to address to help enhance your candidacy. Not every suggestion will be relevant. Focus on substantive, meaningful improvements that you feel make your application stronger. We encourage Sloan. We encourage waiting list applicants to keep us updated on the situation and intentions. You're welcome to submit email. Just let us know. This one's a little bit more. These are a little bit more wide open. Okay. Okay. Let me open the question thing again. I think I'm gonna start getting. Okay. Vinod, I'll answer your question at the end there. Okay, so let's get back to showing the taskbar. Right, away from showing the taskbar. Okay, so here we go. So a couple things in terms of the open waitlist. You want to look at 1 to 3 correspondents depending on your time on the waitlist and the school's messaging. I mean, if you are on the waitlist from round 1, yeah, maybe you send them 1 in round 1, 1 in round 2, and 1 after a few months, just to keep them aware of who you are. Maybe 1 letter of recommendation, maybe 2, depending on their messaging. Again, you really have to pay attention. Some schools will just say like, absolutely not this, or yes, do that. But things like, GMAT improvement, promotions, or professional successes, even if you're not promoted, awards, recognition, you're cited as for the company-wide spot bonus for doing XYZ, refined goals, first-hand experience at the institution, you've gone to visit, you've had lunch with alumni, you've met with current students, whatever it is, that's the type of thing you can talk about. And then even achievements in the personal professional sphere, depending on on what the admissions committee has asked you. Okay, so here's an example of a wide open waitlist letter, okay? And this is a lot, so I'm gonna read it. I'll try and read it slowly, and let's maybe do a little bit of critique as we go. Since receiving my waitlist decision 1 month ago, I've determinedly continued to learn more about the ABC school. We're using a generic title to be best prepared to join the class should the opportunity arise. Last week, I visited campus, eager to experience case discussion firsthand. I admittedly did not expect the manic energy and humor that Professor Paul Johnson, generic name, brought to the Finance 2 class, but amid his sprints to the board and rapid-fire questioning of the unsuspecting, I learned a profound lesson on the connection between inventory management and working capital needs. I was sold on the case method before, but my experience with the Clarkson lumber case only reinforced this is the ideal active learning style for me. I should add that I was fortunate to join the learning team of my former colleague, Mary Flanagan, a fellow McKinsey alumna, that evening, and observe the team dissect the next day's cases. Seeing her engaged in such a collaborative learning environment made me certain that I'd be a solid fit both academically and socially. How do you feel about this opener? What does this opener do? Give you guys a chance to type here. Doesn't communicate an actual message. Okay, Ahmed's is critical of this. Okay, is it normal not to be able to see anyone else's message on the chat here? I'm not sure. I think it makes sense actually. Interested in joining the class and tells the admission to be is a good fit. This is just paragraph 1, guys. Okay, so this is someone saying, look, like I engaged with the school, and I didn't just go to like tell you I went. I actually engaged with the class. I went to a learning team. Great. Well, you guys are seeing all my Dropbox notifications pop up. That's awesome. So I engaged with someone. I went to learning teams. I remember the class well. I related to it well. This is a despite, I mean, not everything works for everyone, but this is a pretty good opener here. This is for an open wait list where they're happy to hear from you. You don't have to focus on brevity necessarily, although we should always try and be as brief as possible in our correspondences. This says, hey, I am really making an effort to get to know the school, and I'm not just doing it in a superficial way. I really, really am. Doing it in a sincere way, and that's good. Okay, let's move on to the next paragraph. When I submitted my application, I was about to begin a new case at McKinsey. Today, 3 months later, this project is quickly moving forward. I previously worked exclusively on due diligence assignments for private equity firms. I recently asked to join a strategic review and am now evaluating potential divestitures for a media firm. As I study this firm, I find that I'm fascinated by the mix of old media and new media assets and by the nebulous nature of making decisions on assets whose prices seem to change each day. Okay? I'm not going to go deep into this, but this isn't a promotion. This isn't something earth-shattering. What this is just some progress, and this is fine. For an open waitlist, this is legitimate. I am doing something different. I am growing. I'm trying new things. Here the guy says, in fact, I was proud to have made an introduction for my client to a private equity firm myself. This new experience has been invigorating. It's only reinforced my desire to return to McKinsey after completing my MBA, show some intent in goals, right? So this individual is really just showing, some growth and some development in his professional goals. So the first paragraph was, hey, I'm getting to know the school better. The second one is, I'm still achieving things. I'm still doing things, and it's helping me with my goals. This is great, okay? The next, despite my busy schedule, I remain committed to the Golden Heights Senior Center, where I lead bingo each Sunday and play in the house band each Wednesday night. Last month, I also organized a weekend trip for 20 seniors to the Super Casino and arranged to play bingo there and attended an instrumental show with an acoustic Beatles tribute band. Needless to say, perhaps, it was an experience that none of us will forget, okay? Again, not urgent. Not earth-shattering. I'm still engaged in my community activities. Here's a little fun personal piece. I'm playing in a house band. I took a bunch of seniors to a casino. It's not something that is that no one's ever done before, but it shows a little bit of personality. Okay, this is not the type of thing you can put on a short closed list, on a closed wait list. We'll get to the closed wait list next. This isn't the type of thing you can put when someone says, "Hey, just tell us if you have a GMAT improvement or a promotion." But if they're saying, hey, write us a letter, tell us what's going on, this is definitely the type of thing that you could include if you had something fun or interesting going on in your community life. And then here, just a nice answer, a nice conclusion. I remain committed to attending your program, and I'm optimistic that I'll find a spot in your class, place in your class. I'll continue to apprise the admissions committee of my progress and remain available should you have any questions at all. Okay? Any thoughts or questions on this one as we're here? Okay, we'll move along. If there are no questions, no thoughts or questions here, that's fine. Let me pull this up. I lost my, here we go. Oh, there we go. Okay, great. Oh, I'm seeing some questions pop up. Let me close this window here. I wish I would know a little bit more about how this works. How do I, oh no. Where do I get my question? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay, good. Let me go back up here. B schools of students. Oh no. Okay, I'm trying to find the chat and I've lost it. Let me try this one more time here. Here we go. Okay, good. Now I figured it out. Does this come across as sucking up? What type of progress, personal things are worth discussing? What about offering supplemental materials? Good literature. Okay. Let's see, classes. I'm behind on this because of this little problem or something. It doesn't give me an actual message. That was, okay, I can see where we were. That was increasing fit. It shows his interest in joining the class and tells the admissions committee there's a good fit. A good letter shows overall progress and commitment. What about offering up supplemental materials? I can deliver more recommendations, can take a class. It depends on who this applicant is. I don't know what you guys can see, so I've got to be more careful here. I didn't realize that. Okay. So what about offering up some supplemental materials? It's possible this person doesn't need some supplemental materials. It's possible this person, had a great GMAT score, and, it might not be, what this person needs to do. Maybe he does. Maybe we'll see. What type of progress? Does this come across as sucking up? I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I personally don't think this comes across as sucking up. It says, look, I'm engaging with the school. It's not like saying, I think you're awesome. You're saying, look, I took some time and I got to know, the program, and I'm just going to turn off my notifications here. There we go. Okay, that will stop popping up, and that's better. You learn a lot when you do these things. So I don't think this comes across as sucking up, because this person's showing effort. He's not saying, hey, I think you're great, you're awesome, love me. He's saying, look, like, I've taken the time and gotten to know people, and I've really, I've really made the most of my opportunities here. I think that's fine. But you've got to be confident. There's no right answer for everyone. It depends what you've told them already, and it depends what feels right for you. That's why qualitative information is always tough. Okay, let's move on, and we can talk about this. Do some more of these questions at the end. All right. Okay, there we go. And here's this person's second letter. Okay. Dear Mr. Smith, following my update of March 1st, 2015, I'm writing briefly to notify the admissions committee of two material changes in my candidacy. First, 2 weeks ago, I completed Calculus 1 and Statistics 1 at the HIJ University Extension School, and yesterday morning, my professors informed me that I earned A's in both their classes. Even though I work in a highly analytical capacity at McKinsey, as a liberal arts major, I felt it important to clearly establish my quantitative competencies. I'm hoping these A's in recent courses will do so, right? Okay. It's fairly basic. Here's an update that's actually really fact-based. Second, I'm excited to report that I took the GMAT for a second time and earned a slightly higher score at 710. What is noteworthy is my quantitative score rose from a 79th percentile to an 85th percentile. Okay, good. Here are some facts. Great. Okay. Moreover, I've continued networking. I recently had lunch with David Clark, ABC MBA 67, who's a partner at McKinsey. I was impressed that all these years later, Mr. Clark is still active with the Alumni Association and is in touch by his estimation no less than 30 members of his class of 240. So, in addition to my belief the case study method, this goes on, but the point is that, hey, I keep doing my homework, and I'm actually doing some learning here as I go, and your school is still really appealing to me for that reason. Okay, that's it. I mean, that would be two updates. One is maybe I haven't had a chance to get my grades, my GMAT yet, but I'm still keeping up to date on some qualitative things. Hey, now that I've got my grades, my GMAT, I'm going to keep you up to date here and tell you that I've still got intent. Those are two good letters, okay? Don't call us, we'll call you. So, Stanford, it's appropriate for you to reaffirm your interest. Other than the brief letter reaffirming your interest, we neither request nor suggest additional submissions. HBS is fully committed to the online application process. Our decision will be based upon a continued review of the completed application materials we've already submitted. If we need additional information for you as we make a decision on your candidacy, we'll contact you, okay? This is a closed list, okay? I would recommend an abundance of caution in interacting with a school that has an explicit closed list. If there's anything we don't want to hear from you, then you can very delicately interact with the school, but you can't definitely, if you start embarking on a campaign, then I think it's going to be a very big problem. You're just going to identify yourself very negatively because they're not asking you for that at all, okay? So what can you do here? Let me just move along here. There we go. Closed. Less is way more. You can have an arm's length recommendation that is particularly thoughtful, okay? So, they can't control, as long as this person doesn't say like, hey, Jeremy asked me to submit a letter on his behalf, but, someone just sends in a letter says, hey, I was made aware of the fact that Jeremy's on the wait list or whatever, even not that, I'm just writing on Jeremy's behalf. 99% of all cases, just one letter. You don't want to have 2 letters or 3 letters. They're telling you, it'll become quite obvious. A highly placed alumni can help. This doesn't mean any old alumni who went to Wharton can write you a Wharton letter and you can expect it's going to make a difference. Someone who really is influential in the Wharton community, or is a very high profile person, or is on the the board of overseers or something like that, can really help you. Otherwise, a letter's a letter, and you should really focus on content. And there's got to be, you really want to push someone to give new info or some sort of perspective. A third letter from your manager from another manager at JP Morgan isn't new information. So one letter is probably what you want to do. It's got to really count. And if you can get it from a high-placed alumni, that's fine. You shouldn't feel like you have to. The old rule of content is more important than title should still be the rule here, unless this person is super high up. And then a short update with significant achievement, GMAT improvement, quant courses, promotions, big successes, an award. This is not the place to kind of say, hey, by the way, I'm playing in a Beatles tribute band. It's a lot of fun. It's something that's creative and different. You're probably not hearing it from others. Or to say, like, hey, I've been doing a lot of networking in the community. This is just the kind of place to say, I'm writing with a brief update, which you'll hopefully regard as material to my candidacy. I recently took the GMAT for a second time, was able to raise my quantitative raw score from 46 to 48. Meanwhile, my overall score increased from 700 to 720. I hope that my 48 raw score will alleviate any concerns that may have existed due to my background in English literature. Additionally, I'm pleased to let you know that I've been promoted to vice president from assistant vice president, and my team has expanded from 3 direct reports to 9. I've always been completely transparent about my MBA ambitions, which makes my firm's decision particularly gratifying. Instead of my firm turning its back on me, they're promoting me with the hope that I will stay. However, I've told them that should I get off the HBS wait list, I'll definitely be taking my place in the class, okay? This is it. 2 paragraphs, short, sweet, powerful. That's it. That is all this person's going to write, and it counts. There's a GMAT update on the quant side, on your overall score. There's also this promotion piece, which works nicely into the like, hey, I am promoted, but I'm not leading my firm on. They know exactly what's going on, and it very nicely, delicately it avoids that sucking up issue that someone raised, where you can say, HBS is still clearly my #1 choice. Okay? Let me just try to open this window again, see. Someone wrote, okay, I've got to go back here. This is why I generally don't want to submit a letter beforehand. Okay, Arjun, I'm going to come back to your question at the end. Kellogg says they don't accept additional letters of recommendation because they want updates to come directly from you, not a third party. Thoughts on having a letter written and submitting on the recommender's behalf? I mean, look, you've got to. I got to see Kellogg's wording to be careful, but like I said, you want to, generally speaking, follow their recommendations. If they really say, like, we absolutely don't want another recommendation, don't do it. There are always exceptions to the rule. I mean, again, you want to follow to an extent, but you also, like there are schools that say we have a closed wait list, and we don't suggest keeping it closed. You want to have some correspondence. So we're going to, you got to be very careful, and everything's sort of very case specific. I'm going to come back to questions at the end, guys, because I can see there are more coming here. I'll just ask you guys, do you guys have access to the chat? Can someone from GMAT Club tell me if they've got access to the chat window? Okay. Should I use a little force? Wharton's waitlist policy is designed to create an admissions process that's fair and equitable. Please do not feel pressure to express your continued interest. We assume that by virtue of the fact you spent considerable time on an effort to apply to Wharton, you're still interested in our program. Do not offer feedback. Okay. Really, mostly, don't force your way on campus and talk to someone. A lot of people think, hey, if I can just get in front of the admissions officer, I can really show them, that I mean business, and they can really believe that I, that I really want to be in this class. And that's not really a way to go. It's going to only identify you negatively. It just definitely don't do that. Don't keep pushing. Okay, so what's next? Section 3 here. What's next? Well, you know, you have to buckle in for a long ride. I mean, some schools will tell you when the decisions will be made. Some will just say, hey, there'll be a bunch of different points. We'll reconsider our wait list. Some decisions will be made on a rolling basis. Some will be made after round 3. Some made after round 3. And a class takes shape. Some will be made the week before a program starts. Every once in a while, something happens the week a program, a week or two even into the program. You know, we're in the middle of orientation week and someone just dropped out to go to another school, so a spot opened up. Let's go. It's very hard to predict. Don't look at time necessarily as an indication of their interest in you. Also, some schools will give a little bit of feedback. Take them seriously on that. They really will. You know, sometimes they'll really get specific with you. I think what I call the "See you next fall" letter. Try to develop a personal relationship with someone, and then send them a note if you don't get in, saying, "Hey, not quite like this, but saying, hey, thanks so much for your consideration. This is only, this isn't a setback for me. This is something that's only caused me to be more determined, more interested. Expect to see an application in September." This is an incredibly effective strategy. The "See you next fall" letter, it just makes such a positive impression on an individual. Where someone says, "Look, like I know this person, I know this name, and this person's serious, and I have a little bit of empathy for this person because this person has been on the wait list for a long time, and I'm going to look for that application." And I would even, once you have that application in, if you do find yourself reapplying, I would even send that person an email saying, "Hey, here, remember I sent you that 'See you next fall' email, 3 months ago, saying I would submit in the first round. I just submitted. I am very, committed to coming to Ross this year, and I just want to let you know that I'm a man of my word or a woman of my word, and here I am." Okay? Stay active and even strive to improve where possible. And again, do some of that honest assessment of your quantabilities, your GMAT score, etc. Often we find that a lot of people who don't get in, it's an execution problem. They just haven't been particular enough about why they want to go to that school, or explained well enough, what their goals are. It actually is most often not a GMAT issue or something like that. That's definitely something you should consider, but quite frequently it's actually an execution issue. Okay, just briefly, and then we'll get to questions. We are MBA Mission. We are the only firm out there with a full-time staff. This is what we do. This isn't a part-time hobby. We're the only admissions consulting firm recommended by Manhattan GMAT. They could recommend anyone they want in the world. They've been recommending us exclusively for close to a decade. We are the #1 rated firm on GMAT Club. By over 100 reviews, we are the #1 rated firm on GMAT Club, at least the last time I checked. We have a team of really elite consultants, and we're very proud of the fact that I feel like we really represent a much higher standard in this game. We have so many opportunities for you to engage with us. I'm going to skip over this because in the interest of time and letting you answer some questions, but we have a variety of brands. We really take a lot of pride in offering excellent free information like this webinar, which will enable you to get to know our competencies. I think that if you are going to hire someone and pay what is an awful lot of money for a top admissions consulting firm, you should really get a chance to kick the tires and learn a lot about them. So we've developed a very robust free program. Check out our free guides on the MBA Mission site or on our partner sites, MBA Career Coaches, M7 Financial, even JD Mission if someone's interested in JD MBA. We really feel that we are the leaders in free content, and again, that's because we want you to get to know us and really feel comfortable with your decision. Variety of services. I'm not going to go into them because you just might find yourself getting in, or you don't really want to worry about services right now, and I understand that. But if you need to know anything about it, just let us know. Here are just a few members of our team, and we're committed to serving the full service of clients of a client lifecycle. So we've developed not just MBA Mission, but MBA career coaches for people who are in their career or in their MBA programs and really want to make the leap and make sure they get that return on their investment. You're investing a lot of money in your education. Get the job. And also M7 Financial, giving students access to we think are the best student loans out there, but mostly an advisory service that will help you to make decisions about how you want to finance your education. With that, oh no, I didn't update this. How embarrassing. You can, it's funny. You can check out our blog, a lot of free information. Check out our free consultation if you want to learn more about what we do and how we do it, or just have questions of your own. You don't have any need to ask us about our services. If you just want to, if you just have questions that you want answered about your own profile, take us up on a free consultation. And with that, let's do some questions. So fire away. Okay, let me go to the last question that I did not answer. Okay, Kellogg says they don't. Can we send a letter of support from an alumni? Yeah, okay, I think we covered that one. Yes, as long as it's not just an alumni who doesn't know you, but an alumnus who doesn't know you, but it's just someone who really is an advocate for you and knows your work well and can speak to your professional and personal qualities, yes. Is it a risk to modify career goals? Still same industry, but an update to function, long-term role? A little bit of a risk, but I think it can be done effectively. I think if you're able to say, during this time, I've done a little bit of soul searching, and I think that I've really come to narrow my career goals even more. Prior to this, I think I was focused on asset management. But I think as I think about evaluating stocks, I want to move towards equity research. It's got many of the same attributes, but ... Yes, I think that can be acceptable as long as it's not really a wild differential. Someone asks, McCombs recommends emailing a group email address. Do you recommend finding a particular person, emailing them if you get a see you next fall letter? No, I mean, I would try to connect. I wouldn't just send someone an email randomly. I would, if they've had someone managing your wait list, I would reach out to that person. I wouldn't just sort of send a general email out there, or just pick someone like, oh, you're an admissions director, an assistant admissions director, I'm reaching out to you. Maybe, depending on your circumstances, how long you've been on the wait list, etc. Maybe you email the admissions director directly with that kind of letter. It'd be the type of thing that I would like to see if I was an admissions director. I think I would look at that very favorably. Someone saying like, look, I suffered for a few months, but I'm still, I took my licks and I'm still going to come back next year, I think would be very, very impressive to me. Does it matter when the application was sent in? Like if I submitted on deadline day, are my chances less? No, I wouldn't drive yourself crazy playing any of those games. Everyone's different, doesn't matter. Someone asked, for round one waitlist, can you comment on the extent to which admission waitlist admits decisions are driven by yield? So this is, again, like someone's worrying about math that you can't possibly know the difference, so I just don't try and handicap your chances. Some figures, GMAT Club, Bloomberg indicates McCombs waitlists 30% of his applicants, declines almost no one. Any suggestions on tackling that waitlist? Again, I mean, I think the schools will really say, like, look, don't look at past years, and you can't tackle this thing mathematically. So I would just look at, what you could offer them, how you can best advocate for yourself, and leave the math in a vacuum. If I plan to take the GMAT in the next few weeks, should I inform the AdCom beforehand? What if I get a lower score? Yeah, I mean, I think I probably would leave it alone if it's in the next few weeks. I don't think they're going to be. I think the risks are unnecessary. If you said, look, 3 months from now, maybe I would let them know. But if it's soon, um, I probably would hedge so that you can at least only let them know if you get a better score. If you say, look, I'm going to let you know, and you don't do well, then you're forced to let them know if you have a score that doesn't turn out. I've been waitlisted at Duke after round one. I'm pretty sure everything in my profile was pretty good. And the reason for the waitlist was a face-to-face interview. The interviewer did not like me from start to finish, from the start for some reason. What should be my strategy in this scenario? I really don't have any significant updates to send. It's really hard to know if that's the case. I mean, if this person said something to you that was inappropriate, really out there, maybe you can use that and you can send someone to the admissions committee note saying, hey, again, not in these words, but I really, I had some indications that my interview didn't go well. It was very clear to me that my interviewer was, checking her phone during the session and ended things rather abruptly. It'd have to be really fact-based. Would it be possible to interview again? I think that I can put together a stronger performance that might be appropriate, but I'd really need to know more details of, of your situation. Also, for round one waitlist, can you recommend on what you would recommend for timing for communications in an open waitlist scenario? Once before round two decisions, once after? Yeah, I think that's right. Once before round two decisions, once after, waiting for real progress, and maybe, if things went for quite a long time, maybe by May or June, send them another one. Maybe depends on, again, everything's a little case specific. Any advice for international applicants to convert waitlist info to admit? Nothing all that different from anyone else. I think your chances are the same. I don't think there's anything you can do. It's like, here's the international strategy for waitlist management versus the domestic strategy. If my new social project, charities in its initial stages, so I still update the school. Yeah, I mean, I think you can say, I think it's, in recent weeks, I've got the, Central Park Kids hockey program going. We have enrollment of 4 students. We're hoping to get 20 by the end of the year. We're in our initial stages, but still seems something, relevant to mention. I mean, there has to be a little bit of progress. It can't just be like, and in the next few months, I'll be starting a charitable program. Currently on the waitlist at Kellogg, I'm a finance major, undergrad, 5 years of banking experience, 730 GMAT, but my quant was only 44. Do you think taking the GMAT again to improve quant would help me out and be worth it? What's your GPA, I guess, is a good question. I'm not surprised. I was previously on the GMAT waitlist, on the Columbia waitlist, and they said GMAT score was not an issue. I'm not surprised. That is, my sense would be that you probably wouldn't need to retake the GMAT unless you thought you could have a massive improvement. Is it okay to reach out to a professor and convey your interest in studying at the school? I think that's a long shot. I really don't think that that's going to help you. If you happen to make some fortuitous connection with a professor and you're at a conference and he's speaking, you strike up a bit of a relationship, fine, but I wouldn't just start reaching out to a professor in your area of interest and say, oh, can you advocate on my behalf? Heard a few creative, crazy stories doing unusual projects, differentiate themselves, an artwork or a cross-sec expression, any input. I just think that that's not the way to go. I wouldn't recommend that. I think those are very, very high-risk endeavors, and I think sometimes when there's high risk, there's reward, but you'd have to be executed perfectly, and even then, it just depends from person to person. If you have a quant-heavy degree but have a recent low GMAT score, any advice to offset that, take classes? It just might not be the issue. you really got to look at your whole application. If there's time to retake the GMAT and you think you can do better, it certainly can't hurt. But I can't sort of say in a vacuum, like, do that. What are your thoughts on setting an update to the Warden AdCom, given they ask not to send additional materials? Yeah, I mean, they do say, don't send us anything. So they're pretty close to closed. I would be very, very tight with that correspondence, and it would have to be highly, highly material, like my example before for Harvard or Stanford. Yeah, 3.3 major GPA. Major GPA was 3.5. I don't think that your GMAT is the issue. Can I take higher GMAT exam? Okay, this is a terrible question. Can I fake a higher GMAT exam on the wait list? Does school ask for official score positions again? I would say that's the very fast opportunity to get you thrown out of the pool. Yes, they're going to check they're going to check again. They're not idiots. I hate to be that terse with this one, but that question is ridiculous. For contact with alums, current students that might know, I lost that question as it bumped up. With the current alums, current students that might know me well enough to write a full-blown letter, is doing so worth mentioning to the admissions at all? Contact with alums. No, I mean, I think I would just let them write the letter. I laid this at Duke. Duke has multiple essay choices. Should I write an essay topic? I chose not to write earlier. No. Stick with their rules. I mean, things that are really outside the box like that isn't going to help. Kellogg lets waitlisted applicants know the name of admissions officers reviewing your files. Should that affect waitlist strategy at all? Nope. Meta professor, just chart your strategy. It shouldn't be contingent upon the person. Your update is your update. The person doesn't affect your update. Just like when you apply, you're not like, if you start pandering and saying like, oh, I think Columbia is a finance school, so I'm going to be a finance applicant. That's pandering. And if you're not, if you have no finance background, it doesn't matter how much you pretend to be a finance applicant. And so I think the same is true here. It's like if you look at someone's background, it's not going to affect the fact that your GMAT changed or that you got a promotion. The people tend not to get scholarships when admitted off the wait list. Most schools will say it doesn't matter. Coming back to that interviewer question, will be your advice if the interview did not go that well? I think that's one. If it really was not the admissions, like if it really wasn't the interviewer's fault, I think I would just leave it. It's unfortunate, but I would just leave it. I recently started teaching a finance course to undergraduate students, a visiting lecturer. Yeah, that's a big deal. Should I let the AdCom know that? Yes, that's a very big deal. On the wait list at a top 5 school, my highest GMAT score is 720. Is it worth retaking? I would say it's only worth retaking if you think you can do significantly better. If you think you can do significantly better, yes. If not, it's not worth retaking just to retake. I think we're running out the clock here. It's 12 o'clock, and I think we're almost done. But I'll take 1 or 2 more questions if they're here. Thanks for your time and input. I appreciate that. Thanks for the thanks. No problem. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, I'm glad it was helpful. That's great. Nice to hear. No problem, guys. Thank you. And I guess this is the end. So if you have any other questions, let me know. But in the meantime, really just good luck. It kind of sucks to be on the wait list. Try and be patient and try to just methodically work your way off of it. Well, that's nice to hear from someone saying, thanks, Jeremy, this was helpful. I also worked with Liza Wheel during my application process, and she was fantastic. She truly, truly is. There's no question. She's amazing. Try to just be patient, do your best, and not panic, and just plot your course. Thanks, guys.